We're halfway through this trading week, and so far this week we haven't seen too much volatility in the FX market. Joining me, however, to discuss the Euro Swedish krona, Euro British pound and US dollar Canadian dollar pairs going forward is Anders Eklof, Chief FX Strategist at Swedbank in Stockholm. Anders, thank you very much for joining me. Now, firstly, the Swedish economy has shown some surprising resistance to the woes of the European debt crisis, with many sectors faring better than expected. How robust is the Swedish economy, and do you think recent economic data coming out of Sweden is just supporting the central bank's view that there's no need to cut interest rates?
I think the Swedish macroeconomic data has definitely surprised on the upside. There could be some revisions to, for instance, the very strong Q2 data. But on overall, I think that the numbers are stronger than expected and support the case for staying on hold for the Riksbank, which is our main case now for the upcoming interest rate meeting in September. That said, the krona is obviously strengthening quite fast and faster than the Riksbank has assumed. So we think that should the krona, for instance, continue to strengthen down towards the 8 level in EUR/SEK terms, that would definitely imply some tough language in the krona, and perhaps they would say, like, if this krona strengthening continues and is sustainable, then rate cuts could be around the corner.
What are your views then on the current strength of the Swedish krona going forward, in particular against the euro?
I think it's related partly to the story with the euro crisis, where there has been discussions and signs that reserve managers are buying into the Swedish krona as an alternative safe asset. It's also a theme-based thing where other, let's say, speculators follow to that idea. And should we get some more clearance according to the outlook for ECB bond buy, the risk premium might go down a little bit in the euro, and perhaps EURGBP downtrend will be reversed a little bit. That said, monetary policy supports a low EURGBP, and also the strength in the Swedish economy supports a low EURGBP. So we have 830 as a 3-month target. In the very near future, we can see it at 815 or even below.
What about the single currency versus the British pound? Bearing in mind potential crisis-fighting action by the ECB, how will this affect a pair like the euro-pound?
I guess it's a little bit of a story of safe haven also. I mean, when we have difficulties in the euro area, people try to stick to their pounds instead of having it in the euro. On a more macroeconomic view, I would say that as long as the euro area remains very soft, the British economy will remain soft, and with its problem in itself also, I think that the Bank of England will remain very dovish. So looking at the euro-sterling level, I think it will go pretty much sideways in the near future. In the longer term, I guess the pound is a little bit weak and should strengthen against the euro.
Finally, Anders, a recent rally in higher risk asset had pushed the Canadian dollar to a 3-month high against the greenback recently. Do you think the loonie can maintain these gains or appreciate any further against the greenback? And what factors do you think will be driving dollar CAD movement over the short to long term? I
think that the dollar Canada downside could continue for a while. People are a little bit scared that the Fed will not act on with further QE, will take back risky assets, and also there's a story that perhaps we have discounted a little bit too much positive signs. Important thing for the Canadian dollar is that the American economy is looking a little bit more strong now, and I think that that's the case for the dollar Canada staying below parity and gradually perhaps moving lower.
Thank you very much, Anders, for sharing your latest outlook on these currency pairs. Now, for more exclusive interviews and Forex updates, stay tuned to Dukascopy TV, but for the moment, goodbye.